All right, shalom, shalom. Kohalo Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Kudash. Shalom, citations that were honest, they were well. The elder apostles of Port Millstone, where I continue to learn this 100% truth. Yahweh Shem Shai, Thumb, the water for your sacrifices and your lessons. Shalom to the elder bishops and the elders, the prophets, the teachers and evangelists, who will also continue to learn this 100% truth from. Yahweh Shem Shai, Thumb, the water for your sacrifices and your lessons. Shalom also to the speckled bird, confused face, the Akim and Akwa, the Akim on the highways and byways, and last but not least, the elect. Back again with another video. This is an in-transit video. Getting out a little later than what I thought, but all praise to Yahweh Shem Shai. I'm able to get out to do the work. I just want to talk a little bit about, when I first came into this, I didn't really know truly what I was getting involved in. I really didn't understand exactly what I was getting involved in. All I know is that it felt right, and I was going about doing what I felt that Yahweh Shem Shai wanted for me. Not truly understanding the name or who Yahweh Shem Shai is, but something in me just drawing me to this truth. I was very curious and always wanted to know more about this truth, and tried different avenues of trying to attain it, not recognizing and knowing where I was going or what I was truly ultimately involved with. Tried different things, tried the 5%ers, the FOI, but I wasn't too in tune of understanding Israelites and who they were. I knew of the small hats, of course, naturally, but not the real true origins of it. So, things were just here and there for me. It wasn't necessarily, I knew exactly what I was getting myself into. So. But I wanted to talk a little bit about just being born again. Kainos, which is refresh in Greek. Like this earth is going to be refreshed through nuclear fire, and then the elect are going to take over, and also the elect are going to be beamed up with Yahweh Shai into the fathership, and it's going to be kainos for the elect, because they're going to be refreshed, they're going to be renewed, they're going to have those angelical bodies, and they're going to get rid of this flesh and blood. They're going to have the 100% truth in them, and they're never going to go off again. They're going to never have to sin again. So these are the things that we're fighting and striving, praying that Yahweh Shem Shai, will allow us to have, or allow me to have, And it starts with being born again, right now. There's no trying to get around it. You have to walk the straight path. There's no wiggling here or there. You have to be corrected to walk the straight path. You have to be born again in your mind. Your mind has to be renewed in the right way. So, and the scriptures say that you got to let go of that old man, because new wine is not going to fit in old bottles, roughly paraphrasing different scriptures. So I'm just going to kind of, bring a couple of scriptures that I had in my mind, and that I also seen, I was looking up on my phone as well, about being reborn again in your mind, because a lot of people don't truly understand what being reborn again is all about. So, 1 Peter 1:23 says, roughly paraphrasing, but trying to read it verbatim, say it like that. Being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the word of the Most High, which liveth and abideth forever. So the word of Yahweh Shem Shai abideth forever. It will live forever. These words are living words, like living water. Everything's alive. The earth's alive. The trees are alive. Right? The soil is alive because it helps bring life. Everything's alive here in Yahweh Bashem Yahushua's earth. And Esau is the opposite of that, trying to kill everything. He wants to destroy everything, including himself. He's that self-motivated to be destroyed. And he gets that from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He's the one that birthed him to be like that. Like the scripture say in Jeremiah, before I put you in the belly, I knew thee, roughly paraphrasing. So Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is the father of spirits, meaning that he is the one who has control and has created all the spirits that are on the earth today. And what he chooses to do with them, so be it, because it's all his. Everything belongs to him. Even Esau. People get confused about the devil, thinking the devil has free will to do wickedness, and no, he works for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Everybody works for Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So you got to be born again in the mind in order to do the right things. And what is one of the right things to be doing? Following the laws, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. That's one of the right things to be doing. 1 Peter 2:2. Well, yeah, 1 Peter 2:2, when it reads, as newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. So one of the things that I would like to hope and think and believe, that in examining yourself too, I was properly brought up in this truth, this 100% truth, is beginning with the milk. And beginning with the milk allowed me to have an understanding on the Hebrew 101, you know what I'm saying? The simple things. And one of the best simple and most important things is the name of Yahweh or Yahushua. Okay? Understanding that and knowing that is power in the name of Yahweh or Yahushua. And that's something that I took very serious, and it's strange because I started to as I was on my journey learning and understanding more about the Hebrews, the Israelites, my people, like a baby, the Gaga Google baby thing, I started off with Salakia, not knowing what it meant or what it was, but my curiosity would always listen. I started mainly listening to the brothers because they're the most diligent and the most they're the ones that's always working to this day, right? GMS, Great Millstone, always working and around the clock. And the brothers would always say, different brothers, not the same brothers, because I was listening to different brothers. I was also listening to other Israelite groups until Yahweh Bashem Yahushua allowed me to hear Elder Manak Zagwab, GMS South Carolina, and he would go hard, as he still do to this day. And he did a lot of correcting with me through the internet, not even in person, but I felt like he was schooling and teaching me. To this day, it's the same way, and what he teaches, the 100% truth of the scriptures, as well as the other men of GMS, starting from Elder Apostle Tahar and down, teach you the true understanding of the scriptures. That's what it is. They don't sugarcoat anything. As Elder Malcolm will say, the brutal truth. And that's what I needed, that's what I wanted, and that's what I appreciate and respect. But he would say, Elder Manak Zagwa would say, you can't, you're going to get confused listening to different camps. Because at the time I was different Hebrew Israelite groups and certain guys, I was listening to them, and they was bugging out. You know what I mean? It was confusion. And I realized then that, let me concentrate on one group, which was hands down easy for me, the Men of Great Millstone. You know what I mean? Because I started hearing about this truth through IUIC. Now IUIC, they also use the Apocrypha, like majority of the Israelite camps. They use the Apocrypha because the Apocrypha goes with the scriptures. You read the 1611 King James Bible, and the Apocrypha is in there. There's no, when you do the history, you figure out that it was taken out of the scriptures. The Bible destruction group, something like that. But they took the scriptures out of there because it just was too much revealing of who they are. And that's when I realized that, there was something that I had to continue to study and learn. And once I made a decision for it to be GMS, and it started from there. I started to listen, learn, take notes, and read, and eventually Yahweh Shah put the spirit on me to go out there and gave me the gift to teach, and that was that from there, man. And I was horrified, man. I'm not one to go out there to try to make a fool of myself, but I'm a fool for the Lord. I'm a fool for this word, and I'm not ashamed, nor am I confounded about Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, and I'll confess it to the world. Even to my last breath. So as the Lord continued to work on me, He also allowed the Men of Great Millstone to continue to work on me too, because this is who to this day, all I listen to are those men. And once I started teaching, I didn't even I wasn't even listening to other groups, and I still don't. If I hear about them, that's because the Men of Great Millstone are doing a video for edification purposes or such and so. So I'll listen to it that way or hear about these other groups. But I'm concentrating on what I need to know and what I need to learn before I can go out and start reproving and correcting the Israelite camps that go off, that err knowing the scriptures. And that's what the beginning of Milk is about. It's about understanding and learning the small but big things about the scriptures, and understanding who Yahweh or Yahweh Shai is before you can just get out there and go make a fool of yourself, or the Lord put you out there, and you know what I mean. You don't want to put the brotherhood in any situation that makes the brotherhood look bad, or the gospel look bad, or makes Yahweh Shem. You can't make Yahweh Shem Shai look bad, but just in general, to not be out there, putting yourself in jeopardy for things that don't make sense. This is Sirach 3:21. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search the things that are above thy strength. Now IUIC likes to use that scripture when they can't answer scriptures like Revelation 13 and 16. It always comes down to that. When Revelation 13 and 16 comes up, they use Sirach, 3:21 a lot. I've noticed that. But Hebrews 5 and 12. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye need that one teach you again, which be in the first principles of oracles of the Most High, and are become such as have need of milk, and not of strong meat. And that is what happened to a lot of men that you see out here on the highways and byways, that came up through the One Westers and came up through different Israelite camps, including Great Millstone. And preferably with Great Millstone, some of these men, unfortunately, they try to go against the elder apostles, and Yahweh Shah shows us every time going against the elder apostles is really you're destroying yourself, man. You're putting yourself in a bad situation. I've noticed and seen that since I've been in it these few short years, and there's no real true sincerity because they learned too fast, and they were greedy to eat the whole roll, and then when it didn't taste good, they vomited it out. They regurgitated it, and Now look at them. They back in the world waiting to be destroyed by a missile. You know what I'm saying? No fear with Yahweh Shem Yahushai or their teachers or nothing. And they got to be destroyed for that. You know what I'm saying? This is John 3:3. Yahushai answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High. And that is what's happening with a lot of these men. They can't see the kingdom of the Most High because they didn't convert fully into the understanding of these this 100% truth. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like most Jake, man, they just be happy to be down with something. So, you know, like I just told you earlier, you know, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but the Wadi Hawashin Yahushua Barakateh Barakateh Yahushua, that I was able to land on solid rock versus sand, so I can build up the right way. You know what I mean? Because a lot of guys, you know, fell into this truth and they built up on sand for their house to fall. You know, but as for me and my house, we're gonna serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua to the end. Abarakazah. So, you know, just kind of wanted to give you a testimony about, you know, me coming into this truth and being born again in the mind. And, you know, I still go through things and still struggling and still learning, but, you know, it's a process. And, you know, I think that Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I'm coming up the right way through my spiritual fathers versus coming up in a way of being rebellious and, you know, proud and all of those things that, you know, are abominable to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and, you know, not fearing the Lord, and, you know, judgment comes, you know. Matthew, this last scripture I got right here. Well, Matthew 18:3, and said, Verily, I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Like I was telling you, you know, like a baby, the first words I was learning was Salakia. I was just Salakia, Salakia, and Salakia. Salakia, and not knowing even what it meant. You know what I'm saying? Like a baby would. You know, with the Google Gaga da mama thing, you know what I mean? Not knowing. And, you know, I started to learn and understand, you know, a little Paleo Hebrew, the Lashawan Kadash, and continue to learn. I, you know, still got a long ways to go, but very grateful to be a part of, because this is not a movement, but to be a part of the gospel and to be able to teach. All praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushua for that, you know. And I just want to continue to keep doing the thing like I'm supposed to, and, you know, pray that Yahweh Shem Yahushua allows me to, you know, be with Yahushua in the time that he returns when he sends him back. So, last scripture I got is Psalms 19:7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making the wise the simple. And that's exactly what it is. It makes the wise the simple to confound the elite, the high-minded, the ones who are proud and think that they're better than others. And this is what you have been seeing for so many years with the brothers on the highways and the byways, with Yahweh and Yahweh, with the elder apostles of Great Millstone on down. You know, and there's been other Israelite camps as well that, you know, they just don't have the 100% truth as Great Millstone does, and they continue to just kind of say what they want to say, and, you know, they be childish with it, you know, and sottish as well. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of give my testimony about it, man. I've been rock to tell you edify with that, man. Shalom.